is, rather than easily referring to the continent as an easy or simple confederation, especially where means of transportation are still very, 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 very bad. Be that as it may, I dare say that the future of Pan-Africanism stands precariously in our hands. It depends on our ability to bring together peoples of the next generation behind a common shared vision on the basis of shared values. As I indicated earlier, there is an almost universal spiritual conception of the environment amongst the peoples which places the earth deity at the center of all life with attendant sustainability of resource management. This provides a convenient and, in my view, a veritable entry point for common action points by which we could learn lessons and share experiences across borders. Just very recently, the Bolivian government passed the groundbreaking law of Mother Earth. That is the first law in the whole world that grants the earth rights to life and the right to exist, the right to vital cycles of processes free from human alteration, and the right to pure water and clean air. These are the provisions of that law. Can't there be a united campaign among these values to say these are the sort of minimum standards? Most times our people are suspicious, as we've had, against each other, and again what they call the European standards. If all Africans have a spiritual conception of land, of the environment, can't there be something that takes this as the minimum standard that we should look for? Can't this become, for instance, a declaration of the African Union to say these are the rights that we believe is a declaration that land should have? Taking action will require a shift, in our approach from undue concentration on merely the political, or what I call the vertical imperatives of Pan-Africanism to the communitization of the struggle. Here, I have to say this. I have had experiences in the past when we were trying to make, I went to toured most African countries, the Commonwealth, trying to lobby the Commonwealth then, when Nigeria was under the military rule. We were longing for sanctions to press the regime. And most times what I hear is that, oh, well, you see, Nigeria, and I ask the question, have you asked what view the Nigerian people have? It's most times those who rule the country do not represent the views of those ordinary people. So can we deal with these issues? So I think it is better that we go in this horizontal direction and leave those political things. I'm not saying we shouldn't leave it, but perhaps I think we need to see whether we can start some construction in that direction. Our experience from Ogoni has shown that the overall success that we recorded in mobilizing the Ogoni people was born out of the horizontal mobilization program that was put in place, which was community-led and community-driven. Most people do not know that the organization we call MOSOP, which Ken led and I deputized and I now head, is not an organization. We have, for example, the women have their own group, the youths have theirs, the churches, the traditional rulers. It is the leadership of all this, which exists in every village, that we call MOSOP. So MOSOP is like an umbrella. So we decided to deal with these issues. Today I'm the president of the organization. But if my village branch of MOSOP passes a resolution that they do not have confidence in me, I drop down. Because the basis of my being there is because it is rooted at that local level. It is this horizontal mobilization which embraced our traditional means of information delivery in combination with modern tools that helped our people to connect with the vision and take ownership of the mobilization process. Even the attempt by the government to block our usage of public media could not stop the revolutionary wave that was set in place by this sort of horizontal mobilization. This shift will refocus our appreciation of the fact that if taken fully into account, the fisheries and forests of Africa are a global reservoir that presents a massive positive or negative shift depending on the environmental management of a very diverse region. And that in terms of increasingly scarce extractive resources, the challenge of pollution, resource conflict, and the behavior of the state towards those on the land will shift from the spotlight issues on maybe one country to what will affect all of us. It will be realized that the increasing interplay between resource conflicts, environmental degradation, and abuse of human rights are issues not peculiar to one country alone. For the abuse of environmental rights can bring about some of the swiftest financial gains of any enterprise on the planet. And when conducted in a poverty-prone environment, it is extraordinarily optimistic to expect that the best practices of good resource governance can flourish under such pressure without a Pan-African action. 2005, I was in South Africa, and I met someone who said, I think he's from East Africa. He comes from a group, a little community, a people called, indigenous group called the Ogoni people. He said that they formed what they call the Movement for the Survival of the Ogoni people, which the acronym was like MOSOP. But after the execution and the international sanctions that came on the Nigerian government, the government prescribed them. He said, look, you want to do like these other people. And that was far away. But how many people know about their own issues in that area? How do we share that same idea that they in that place had such a view that was there? And this is why it's important, because that is what appears to be lacking. If we were to take the case of the contributions of gas flaring and oil pollution to the debate over climate change and its management, we will be left with no illusions that its real consequences may have a more dramatic impact on all our countries and peoples than many of us realize. In recent years, Ghana and Uganda have joined the oil-producing club, and we can be sure that others will soon follow. What can they learn from Nigeria? And also, what experiences can be fed back to more established oil companies like countries like Nigeria and Angola? Should we take any stronger or united stance over those places that have been deemed too hard by even the international community, such as Equatorial Guinea and the Congo's resource abuses? In the past, we have struggled to come together. But we have seen how young and determined people we've had today can defy all odds to seize and free their future in Africa lately. The revolution which now sweeps the Arab world is African grown, and lessons should be learned from these experiences. Will the arrival of the internet in Africa, for instance, and by this I mean something close to broadband, make it possible or feasible for us to share the time necessary to form stronger bonds? For those of you fully on the Facebook generation, what can we see as an avenue as for us to be communicating with ourselves and to the rest of the world? And in 3 or 5 years' time, will it be possible that we can even have a conference without seeing ourselves, considering the problems, the challenges faced by physical communication within Africa? And how do we bring together these tools that lie latent in our communities? There are a lot of force that lies within those communities and important knowledge that are being wasted. And there are very success stories that exist but are isolated in all our countries in their quest for environmental justice that have not been coordinated together. Can we find a way to bring all this together and make a complete sense? These are clearly questions for the younger audience which will be charged with delivering on the answers. It is my hope that what I have done today is to set the stage, as I said, for the dialogue where the audience here is every bit as important to the answers as myself. Thank you very much.